in seat 6 then?
Right.
Pnawn da, croeso to Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council's Cabinet meeting on Wednesday, the 17th of December, 2022. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and may be broadcast via the authority's internet site. The images and sound recording may also be used for training purposes within the authority. Item 1 of the agenda is apologies for absence. Have we any apologies? Thank you, Myers. Item 2, declarations of interest. Have we any? No declaration of interest. So if we go straight into the main body of the agenda, and item 3 is the capital monitoring report for 2022-23 quarter 2. And can I bring in Cabinet Member Deputy Leader Andrew Barry?
Thank you, Chair. So the capital budget monitoring report 2022-23 quarter 2 is for the period ending 30th September 2022 for both core and externally funded capital projects, along with expenditure projections for 22-23 financial year. The core capital programme this year should see the administration spend 40.571 million. 7.011 million has been incurred on core funded projects to the end of the second quarter. There is a £25,000 overspend in relation to these core funded projects detailed in Appendix 1. Amendments to this budget are outlined in Appendix 3, whilst Appendix 4 outlines those major variances over £10,000. The Council has secured additional funding through external funding grants, predominantly from Welsh Government, Heritage Lottery Fund and Sports Council for Wales, totalling 14.986 million to the end of the second quarter, and detailed at Appendix 2, Chair. 3.483 million has been incurred on externally funded projects to the end of the second quarter. This has a projected shortfall of 2.181 million overspend. We were expecting further grant support from Welsh Government in relation to Storm Dennis back in 2020. However, this doesn't appear to be the case now. So we will again have to absorb these costs. At the time of writing this report, we were still hopeful that funded, as mentioned in Appendix 6. All other externally funded projects are detailed at Appendix 2. Major new external funded other capital projects are detailed at Appendix 5. These include 21st Century Schools Programme and the Welsh Government grant assisting towards the refurbishment of the leisure centre and monies towards the rollout of free school meals for all primary school pupils. So despite the dire financial crisis we find ourselves, Chair, I think you can see making major progress towards better lives for the people of Merthyr Tydfil through the work of this administration. I now take the recommendations at 2.1 to 2.3. 2.1, the quarter 2 capital monitoring report for 2022-23 being noted. 2.2, the budget amendments for core funded projects as outlined at 4.1 below be approved, and 2.3 variances to the budget per paragraph 4.2 be noted. I move, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Barry. Have we got a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Have we any questions? No? Any comments? No? Take to the vote, please.
Yes, so if everybody could please vote, just remembering that your in favour is on your left, against is on your right, and abstain is in the middle. And that's carried, Chair.
Thank you, Monitor Officer. Item 4 of the agenda is the Corporate Risk Register 2022-23 quarter 2, and Councillor Barry will be taking this as well.
Yeah. Corporate Risk Register 22-23 Q2. There's been a great deal of activity recently in terms of risk management to continually improve what is one of our central pillars of our corporate governance. A few dates: 10th of October, Cabinet Risk Review; 19th of October, Corporate Management Team Risk Review; 24th of October, Governance and Audit Committee Progress Report; 15th of November, Workshop on Risk Progress. This report presents a position in relation to risk at the 30th of September, or the end of Q2, and can be seen in Appendix 1A, B and C, pages 21, 23 and 25. Removed from the risk register, Chair, are EU transition and coronavirus COVID-19, with the rationale explained at Section 4, brought in after the Cabinet Risk Review, climate change and decarbonisation, waste management targets, with the staff recording system and town centre safety, and brought in after the corporate management team review, home to school transport and public transport. The profile of risk within the authority is ever increasing, and with the approved corporate risk strategy policy on the 7th of September, the risks have been reviewed through the filter of the Institute of Risk Management. Despite the intensive work being carried out, there's always room for improvement. The immediate threat is the financial and economic crisis we find ourselves in, and navigating and mitigating that threat needs continual monitoring. An example of continual monitoring and need to strengthen our risk management is within school attainment, where we will need to take a look at how we can more closely monitor the situation in individual schools to realise that contribution to the authority as a whole to ensure that risk management becomes a predictive tool as best can be, and not just a reflective report. The recommendation of 2.1, Chair, is progress on the management of the Council's corporate risks, and the progress report for the Corporate Risk Register be approved. I move, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Barry. Have we got a seconder, please?
I just second that, please, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Jenkins. Any questions? No. Any comments? No. We'll go straight to the vote then.
Yes, so if you can all please vote. And that's carried.
Thank you very much. Item 5 of the agenda, again, is to do with the corporate risk management strategy and policy. So again, I think Councillor Barry will be taking this one.
Thank you, Chair. Corporate risk management strategy policy proposed amendments. Within our recently approved strategy and policy is a section that deals with risk appetite, which explains our tolerance and acceptance of risk in pursuing our operational objectives, in particular the circumstances in relation to the economic crisis and the impact on our financial objectives specifically. Revisions within this policy in particular need to allow greater flexibility considering the fluidity of the crisis and the need to react in a very timely fashion. The strategy and policy is based on what is perceived as acceptable risk, defined by the Institute of Risk Management as the amount of risk that an organisation is willing to seek or accept in the pursuit of its long-term objectives. And in terms of risk tolerance, it is defined as the boundaries of risk taking outside which the organisation is not prepared to venture. At 3.3, Chair, you will see that the Constitution does allow for a change in a council decision within 6 months should 5 members propose a revision and for it to be ratified by full council. And this is what the recommendation seeks from Cabinet today. This is an unusual request. However, the Constitution says that the clear intent is that motion should not be changed within 6 months, and so the process of having 5 councillors to move it is there to ensure it only happens in exceptional circumstances. I think we can agree the financial crisis qualifies as exceptional circumstances. This report will allow for the first part of that revision to allow 3 risk categories to move from open to eager appetites, namely strategy risks, commercial risks, property risks. All 3 are defined within the current and proposed changes at table 4.2, where this can sometimes be described as a culture of risk management. This places more of a formal structure around that management and will allow a more flexible approach to achieving our proposed objectives. It is important to note that this does not equate to any additional risk to this authority, but does allow flexibility within the decision-making process with the usual checks and balances with the appropriate cabinet and full council approval. Hence the recommendation 2.1 states that the proposed revision, the risk policy as set out in section 4, be approved, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Barry. Have we got a seconder?
Second the report.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Any questions? No? Any comments? No? If we can take to the vote then.
And that's carried, Chair.
Thank you, Caris. Item 6 on the agenda today is the political vision for 2022 for 2027. I should consider the report of the leader. Unfortunately, I'm in the chair, so I can't take the report today. So Councillor Barry will be taking it.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, I'll start by just briefly going through the vision, Chair, which is in Appendix 1, which states that the title of the vision is People, Place and Pride, and it's the independent vision for the 21st century Merthyr Tydfil. In every community of Merthyr Tydfil, the independent councillors have been engaged and listening to residents, and your thoughts, views, recommendations and opinions have guided us to unite around and commit to the following aspirations. People, raising educational standards and aspirations of our young people to be the best in whatever role they wish to pursue. Encouraging economic growth by attracting new businesses and retaining those who call our community home, our county boroughs home. Increasing collaboration with regional and national partners for better outcomes in health, public protection and inward investment. Our people make Merthyr Tydfil. And the place, Chair, advancing the transformation of our town centre, communities and most important historic buildings. Working with partners to develop a reliable and sustainable public transport system that incorporates all forms of travel. Cooperating with housing organisations to create and renovate homes to the Welsh quality standard, guaranteeing fair access to all. A place with a positive future. And the Pride, Chair, championing excellence and participation in the Welsh language, music, sport and creative arts. Enhancing Merthyr Tydfil's leisure parks and tourism offer to make us a destination of choice for residents and visitors alike. Delivering on the decarbonisation agenda and embracing our glorious countryside to ensure it is there for our future generations, filled with pride for our communities. This represents a sea change in the governance of how this authority operates. For the very first time in the political history of this great county borough, we have a vision document driving the corporate direction of this authority, underlying the sovereign democratically elected position of those members chosen by the people of Merthyr Tydfil to run this authority. This report is a clear statement of the aspirations and values entitled People, Place and Pride, your independent vision for 21st century Merthyr Tydfil. We live in uncertain times, Chair. The highest taxation since the 1940s, more strikes now than since the 1970s. Consumer price index running at 14.8%, food inflationary pressures at 16.4%, further energy increases projected for January and April, and even with the price cap, household energy bills will increase by an average of 20% between April 23 and 24. The political parties at Westminster are elected to look after this country. The economic turmoil created and exaggerated by those parties with food banks, warm hubs in everyday use, this looks more like a Dickens novel than a 21st century country. As independents, we are just the people of this town, in the most part born and brought up here, trying to put us on a better road without political influence. This vision will not be an easy path over the next few years, but it's our vision for the people of this town. The recommendation, Chair, at 2.1, the formal adoption of the aspirations presented by the independent group as guiding principles for the administration be approved, and in doing so, instruction to the Chief Executive Officer to ensure the Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council's corporate plan aligns to the vision be approved. I move, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Barry. Have we got a seconder?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Simmons. Have we got any questions? No, no questions. Any comments? Councillor Hughes?
As portfolio lead for neighbourhood services, the directorate covers all three of the headings in our vision, from places, people to pride. Our neighbourhood services are made up of many departments, from development management, waste management, engineering, highways, also parks, ground maintenance and countryside and biodiversity. The Parks Department currently manages and maintains the county borough's main parks, and the bulks of the country are the council's public open spaces. This includes 5 main parks, 55 fixed play areas, 25 playing fields and associated buildings. We have a range of parks and play facilities across the borough, which are highly valued by the communities, providing visitor hubs and centres from which health and education activities can take place. They provide important habitats and connectivity corridors. The countryside element within the department, this involves ensuring the council meets its biodiversity obligations under Section 6 of Environmental Act. And we as a department pledge to work to ensure that we work towards that our vision in the next 4 years.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Councillor Jenkins?
To our vision for people's well-being, I'd like to firstly look at where we are now. Our local authority have accessed a grant to support foster carers, which will be used as payment directly to carers to support with the cost of living. We will be continuing to work hard to support our carers. This involves local authority mainstream foster carers and kinship carers. Children's Services, alongside young people and families, have developed a series of animations. The purpose is to support the accessibility of information on the service for the public. This will be officially launched and go live on our website in January. The Santa Appeal has again gained considerable momentum. A generous nature of our community will help us support our most vulnerable families, and a huge thank you to everyone who donated. During the summer, there were several successful fun events held for our children looked after. Our annual Christmas party this weekend, which we have had an overwhelming positive response to. The director, Lisa Curtis-Jones, met with the Care Inspectorate Wales this week as part of the annual performance review. We received positive feedback regarding our current recruitment and retention of social work staff. This has been supported by our Passion for Practice project, which was a finalist in the Social Care Accolades Award. They were pleased with some of the improvement work and areas that have been addressed from previous inspections, one of them being quality assurance. Good practice was always noted, with our children looked after figures remaining stable at present, and TNBIS receiving the Meaningful Care Matters accreditation. Using this level of achievement as a platform, we aim, as part of our vision statement, to continue to build and progress, further providing positive outcomes for our residents of Merthyr Tydfil. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jenkins. Councillor Jones?
Yeah. First of all, I'd just like to say how I'm sure we're all acutely aware how difficult it has been for all those working in the education department, whether that's teachers, head teachers, LSAs, how difficult it's been for all of those during the pandemic. And now the pandemic is almost out of the pandemic. It's not getting any easier. Obviously, with the financial crisis that we're all about to enter, times are really, really tough. And I just think that those who are working for our children have worked so, so hard. And I think that we're all really proud for all of their efforts. And I just want that put on record. So in regards to the vision for education, I've just got a few points really that I want my vision to be. And the first one is the education of our children and young people is everyone's business. We have high aspirations for all. To ensure that they have the best possible start in life so that when they leave education, all our children and our young people have the skills, the qualifications, and the aptitude to do the very best they can throughout their lives. Our schools are community focused. They provide a range of services and activities beyond the school day to help meet the needs of its pupils, their families, and the wider community. That we provide children and young people life-changing experiences that will raise their aspirations and improve their prospects. And for our schools to be appropriately funded through the 21st Century Schools programme and provide a safe environment for all of our pupils to flourish. And to increase the number of pupils receiving their education through the medium of Welsh. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor Simmons.
Thank you, Chair. Public protection services were central to the development of the modern system of local government from the Victorian era onwards. More than 150 years on from those formative pieces of Victorian legislation, the core ethos of environmental health, trading standards and licensing services to protect the public remains as important as ever. And the services have a huge role to play in contributing to key council agendas such as safeguarding economic growth and recovery, health protection and reducing health inequalities, climate change and net zero. Public protection services protect different aspects of local life, including local businesses and the economy, people in their different roles as local residents, consumers, tenants, employees, workers, etc. Communities as places where people live and work, and the environment, including animals. Together, public protection services fulfil a huge range of statutory duties in several core areas. Consumer protection, product safety, health protection, infection control, housing standards, noise and nuisance, health and safety at work, licensing, food safety and integrity, animal health and welfare. Public protection crime and disorder services are arranged to ensure that the services are best placed to contribute to a range of council priorities, working collaboratively within or across organisations. This portfolio is key to optimising practice and maximising increasingly scarce resources. Safeguarding and tackling crime. These services have always been about protection, but it is now recognised how in working with businesses and communities to protect the integrity and safety of food, ensure the safety of taxis and private hire vehicles, or tackle rogue traders, the services can also support cross-council and multi-agency work to disrupt anti-social behaviour, abuse and tackle organised crime. Health inequalities. Public protection services can play an important role in tackling health inequalities and improving the health of our communities. An example of this would be the role of environmental health officers in regulating private rental sector housing and tackling substandard accommodation, which can harm health. Environmental and climate change. Environmental health teams lead work on local equality and have been integral to the development of council plans on this. Collectively, local public protection services have an important part to play in the drive towards net zero. Trade and standards teams have already tackled scams relating to the green agenda. Business support and inclusive growth. Public protection services account for a significant proportion of council's contacts with local businesses and are a source of advice and guidance as much as they are an enforcement body. They can provide vital guidance and form certification, enabling transactions to take place. Emergency planning. Infection control is a core part of environmental health teams' usual work, so our officers were involved in contact tracing and other infection control activity. They were frontline and central to the COVID-19 pandemic response. Merthyr was a blueprint for other local authorities in our approach and delivery of the vaccination programme, displaying versatility and agility to rapidly respond to a range of different duties. Additionally, officers from licensing, trade-in standards and environmental health teams, in partnership with the police, led local work to enforce the COVID-19 regulations, forming our responsible authorities. Together, they ensured that infection rates were reduced. The future resilience of public protection services. Our communities are built on mutual respect and taking care of each other, supported by all agencies that ensure we feel safe and protected in our homes and local neighbourhoods. We want to create resilient communities by expanding the targeted multi-agency problem-solving group approach to antisocial behaviour hotspots, including vehicle antisocial behaviour, deploying CCTV in problem areas. We want to approve, in partnership with community safety partnership members, a new violence prevention strategy focused on preventing young people from falling into crime or criminal exploitation. With serious violent crime, we, as part of the Cwmtaf Community Safety Partnership, will be working with the Police Crime Commissioner's Office to work towards a needs analysis and problem profile, which will influence our strategic plan and actions involving our safeguarding officers to take forward the work undertaken on recent gangs and embed this as a plan to tackle youth violence and antisocial behaviour. For safer, cleaner streets, our vision includes utilising funding for community development wardens. The purpose of the wardens would be to identify the antisocial behaviour and enforce council-related crime, such as smoking bans, public space protection order breaches and littering. Importantly, they could also act as professional witnesses to support police investigations. For fly tipping, our focus on enforcement and prosecutions, collaboratively working with all our partners. Our Responsible Authorities Forum continues, and this is proven to be valuable, with positive feedback being received from all partner organisations, namely South Wales Police and officers involved. In our vision document, people, place and pride, all areas have been highlighted within central pillars to the vision and the work over the next 5 years and further. For people in this borough and places of the borough, we can all have pride in our communities throughout the borough.
Thank you, Councillor Simmons, and thank you, Cabinet, in general. I think our vision for Merthyr Tydfil is clear. You know, we wish that the residents of Merthyr Tydfil live a healthier, more prosperous life. And we have got difficult years ahead as we emerge from the pandemic. But I think that's got to be our goal over the next 4 to 5 years, is that our residents are healthier and more prosperous. Thank you. Should we take that to the vote then?
Vote, please. Oh yeah, that's carried, Chair.
Thank you, Moderator Officer. Item 7 on the agenda is the Cadrow Road Active Travel Scheme proposed traffic regulations order required to support the scheme. And I believe Councillor Hughes is taking this.
Yeah. Summary report is found in 1 to 1.2 for councillors to authorise the intention that is subject to satisfactory consultation with the representative list of road users, including the police, fire, ambulance services, bus operators, etc. Public notice be given informing the County Borough Council's proposal to make a permanent traffic regulation order under the Road Traffic Regulation Act 1984. And in the event no objections, the order be made. 1.2, a traffic regulation order is required to be considered at Cadrow Road to support the active travel scheme being proposed by Active Travel Department. The recommendations are found in 2.1 to 2.3, subject to consultation with the representatives of the list of road users, giving the public notice of the County Borough Council's intention to make a permanent traffic regulation order under the Road Traffic Regulation Act of 1984, the effect of which is detailed in the schedule appendix to be approved. In the event no objections being received, the making of the said permanent order be approved. 2.3, if objections are received, the presentation of the report to the appropriate committee for consideration as soon as practicable be approved. I therefore move.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Have we got a second?
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Jenkins. Any questions? Any comments? Councillor Barry.
Thank you, Chair. Comprehensive scheme. I think it's safe to say outside any school is a very difficult engineering problem with the number of cars that are on the road these days, and I think this goes a long way to resolving those issues and making the area a lot safer for the pupils. I think it's worth mentioning as well that the funding is coming from Welsh Government from this. It's welcome funding. It's not from our core budget. It comes from Welsh Government. I think, you know, for people who look at some of these schemes from the active travel budget, they may think we could be spending money on other things. This is ring fenced and has to be used the way Welsh Government indicate it has to be used. And I think in this instance, it couldn't be used in a better way, to be honest. Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you, Councillor Barry, and I agree with you on that. I think the future is for people to walk and to cycle and to live healthier lives and get people out of cars and make our world a greener one. So I totally agree with you. Can we take it to the vote then, please?
You could all vote now, please. Oh, there we are. That's it. It's carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8 of the agenda is the children's play areas, playgrounds, to consider the report of the Chief Officer of Neighbourhood Services. And I believe that Councillor Hughes has taken this again.
I'm very pleased to bring this report today. The summary report is found in 1.1 to 1.3. Play is an essential ingredient for the healthy growth and development of children. It keeps children healthy and active, develops social skills and confidence, helps children to deal with stress and may reduce crime and vandalism. Play provision fosters a sense of community and can improve social inclusions. In 2021, an independent report highlighted the sites which were in need of replacement or removal. Many of the council's fixed play areas are in need of refurbishment, with some of them reaching the end of life. The council has recognised the need to refurbish these sites and allocated capital money for the refurbishment of the programme. This programme has already started, with 4 sites being completed in 21 to 22, and work on procuring the next tranche of refurbishment is currently being undertaken. Recommendations are that the priorities for the next tranche of playgrounds and refurbishments works be approved. Before I ask for approval here, it needs to be noted that the sites were done by independent people. It wasn't done by officers or a political motivation. It was done by independent persons. So that's what these are the next 4, and then we got 4 again next year. So I then move.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Have we got a second?
Yeah, happy to second that, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Have we got any questions? Any comments? Councillor Barry?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Great report from Councillor Hughes. It is to the core of what we've spoken about earlier in terms of the vision that this administration of independence has for this town. It talks about people and place. Playgrounds are such important places for families and children. And it's great to see this amount of investment being put back into our communities to encourage that for the future of these kids and the future of the families in Merthyr. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Barry. And can I just add, I think it's the second year now of our investment back into children's playgrounds. And I'd like to thank Rob Barnett for his hard work and the Parks Department. I know they've waited many years to have new playgrounds. So we did the 5 last year. And Dave, you're a bit disingenuous there. We've got 5 this year, right? And I'm going to name them, right? They are Trevechan in Faenna, Gwenlloy in Dowlas, Castle Park in the Cyfarthfa ward, Oaklands in Berlinog, and Thomastown Park in the town ward. And next year's 5 parks are Keir Hardy in town, Moy Road at Aberfan, Prospect Place at Merthyr Vale, Treharris Park, and Edwardsville. So thank you very much. And can we take that to the vote?
Everyone can vote now, please. Just one short. There we are. That's carried. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Item 9 on the agenda is the street homeless intentionality test. Dave, you're right with that word, intentionality test. Taking this on my behalf is Councillor Simmons.
Thank you, Chair. So the street homeless intentionality test, report author Suzanne Stevens. Summary of the report is laid out in 1.1 to 1.4, that being, under the Housing Wales Act 2014, certain categories of people should be accepted as being in priority need for homelessness assistance. Since the implementation of the Act, there have been 10 such categories listed within 4.1 of the report, with a new 11th category being added with effect from the 24th of October 2022 under the definition of street homeless. Those individuals that meet the priority need test are also subject to the intentionality test to determine whether the authority also has a duty to continue to provide temporary accommodation after 56 days, until such time that a suitable offer of permanent accommodation is made. Since June 2015, authorities in Wales have had the option of deciding whether it disregards the intentionality test for any of the defined priority need categories. In June 2015, MTCBC, so Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council, decided to apply the intentionality test to all 10 categories. This report sets out the background information and seeks Cabinet approval to also apply the intentionality test to the 11th priority need category, street homeless. Therefore, the recommendation at 2.1, the retention by Council of its ability to make a decision of intentionality for all 11 priority need categories listed under the Housing Wales Act 2014, as listed within the report at 4.1, be approved. I move, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Simmons. Have we got a second?
Please, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Jenkins. Any questions?
Thank you, Chair. One for Suzanne, really. Is there any additional funding that's come down the line with this additional work that we've got to do?
No, obviously the local authority had money from the hardship fund at the start of the pandemic, which continues for this financial year. We haven't had any information in regards to 23-24 as yet.
Great, thanks. What?
You still on that?
Why not? You know?
Thank you much. Have we got any further questions? No? Any comments? Councillor Hughes?
only comment I would make is thanks to all the staff in that department. The pressure you've been under over the last few years is immense, to be honest with you. And how you've managed to carry on your work, I don't know myself, but can you thank the staff for me? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. I'll certainly pass that on to staff because agreed, you know, the pressures the staff have been under has been immense. So thank you for that.
Councillor Jones?
I'd like to put my thanks through to Suzanne as well, because she's been amazing to me. I've had lots of queries, and no matter what time of day I've messaged her, what day, it could be on the weekend, she's always come back and provided me with amazing assistance. And it's made my life and my job a lot easier because I've been able to give immediate advice to residents. And I just want to thank her for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. And I didn't mind answering your query when I was on the beach in Gran Canaria, so that's fine. Thank you.
Any further comments? No, I think I can speak on behalf of all the cabinet and all members of the council for the hard work the team have put in over the last few years. As you recall, when that test was taken away from us at the start of the pandemic, which was right, and I think we had to get everybody housed, make sure everybody was saved through the COVID period. Now we can bring this test back into place. It will leave a bit of pressure, Suzanne, on you and the team, hopefully going forward. So yeah, just thank you from us all. Can we put that with the vote, please?
You can all vote now, please. And that's carried, Chair.
Okay, the next three items are information reports. Item 10 is engineering projects update. Item 11 is the Flying Start performance 21-22. And item 12 is to deal with any, sorry, that's in mind. What do you want to bring in? What do you want to bring in, Caris? Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Hawkeye members will have noted that there's an error in the Flying Start performance. It is an information report, but it's actually got a recommendation. So I'm going to ask you to just ignore that because that's an error. It's meant to be an information report and you would just deal with it on that basis. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Caris. Item 12 is to deal with any other urgent business deemed urgent by the chair. I have none. So we'll have to go into the closed session now. So can I ask for a section 100?
Can I move that section 100, Chair?
Thank you. And if somebody could second that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we will need to go to a vote on that, please. And that's carried, Chair. So you are now in closed session. So can I please ask